The Cincinnati Bengals had an amazing 2021-2022 NFL season, making it all the way to the Super Bowl before losing to the Rams. But I'm here to tell you today that they're not going to be making it to the Super Bowl again anytime soon. I saw a couple people saying that they expect the Bengals to be really good next season, keep their winning streak rolling, keep staying alive. They expect Joe Burrow to go on and become an MVP favorite and maybe even win the award. But I'm going to tell you that they're not going to do that. They have some good players. Jamar Chase is a really good receiver. Joe Burrow is a really good quarterback. They have some good secondary receivers. Joe Mixon's a good running back. Their defense is really solid. You got Jesse Bates over there. He's a really good safety. But what they lack is real elite talent. Like, if you look at the Rams roster, they had so many guys that are just superstars that you gave up so much to get. Look at Aaron Donald. You look at Von Miller. You look at Jalen Ramsey. That's just on the defense. And then you had OBJ on the offense. You have Cooper Kupp, who had a really good season. You even have Robert Woods, who I'd argue is probably is a better number 3 receiver than the Bengals number 3, Tyler Boyd or T. Higgins, depending on how you want to go with that. They have Andrew Whitworth. The offensive line is just a really complete football team, and they didn't dominate their way to the Super Bowl. They snuck past Tampa Bay after almost giving the game away. They snuck past divisional rival San Francisco and eventually made it and played a good game to beat Cincinnati. It was a good game, but the Bengals, they just don't have it. You look at the AFC, and do we really think they're a better team than Kansas City? They had a nice win, nice comeback, but Kansas City really should have won that game. They were up by a lot, and they let it slip away from them. Do we think they're a better team than Buffalo? I would make the case that they're nowhere near Buffalo. They're not even in the same bracket as where it's talent. Like Joe Burrow is not on the Josh Allen level. Jamar Chase isn't on the Stephon Diggs level. Jesse Bates and the rest of that defense isn't on the level of Tre'Davious White and the Bills defense. It's just a different level of how good the team is, and the Bengals aren't there yet. And you can keep going just further down the AFC. If Cincinnati played New England in round one instead of Vegas, how do we think that game goes? Because you could easily see it being a game where the Patriots win. I'd almost expect the Patriots to be favored in that game. You just keep going down the line of teams that the Bengals would have to go through to make it to another Super Bowl. Like, I was big on Tennessee and thought they'd be better in the playoffs this year, but I feel like that was the best option for the Bengals. I feel like any other team would beat them besides Tennessee, just the way that game went, the way Ryan Tannehill went, and pretty much through the game while throwing 3 picks. That doesn't happen if it's Patrick Mahomes. Like, Patrick Mahomes wasn't the reason the Chiefs lost that game. I'm sure he could have done more, but it was just the way it went. Like, he didn't get help, the defense didn't step up, and the Bengals did a good job to win that game. But does Josh Allen throw 3 picks in a playoff game to lose it? I can't see that happening. It's just the way it went for Cincinnati to get them there. Like, it was a magical run that got them there, and they fell short. Otherwise, it would have been great. But they didn't get there because they dominated the way the Chiefs did the past 2 years, the way we've seen Tom Brady dominate the AFC for so many years. Like, there's a reason that Tom Brady came out of the AFC for so many years in a row, because he was dominant and because he was better than every other team. Right? Same way Peyton Manning did it in his years in Denver and Indy. And it's just, there's so many good AFC teams. I see the AFC as a much better conference than the NFC. And moving forward, I just don't see the Bengals as better than other teams. I think the Ravens in their own division are a slightly better team. And if Lamar Jackson doesn't get injured, that things could go differently there. They have a tough division. Pittsburgh is going to find a way to come back once they get a quarterback. The Browns have a talented roster. They just got to put it together. They have an interesting quarterback situation as well. And the Bengals, I just think they got a perfect storm and made it as far as they did. And unfortunately, they didn't win the championship for them. But they didn't get there because they dominated. They didn't get there because they were a great team. They're a good team, and good teams have runs like that happen. But they won't have consistent success. I could see them being this 10-7, 11-16 like they were every year, but that's not going to result in continuous runs of the Super Bowl. It's going to result in first and second round exits and a lot of hope and a lot of expectations because you made it this early and they're just not going to live up to them. I don't see them making it back. I don't see Joe Burrow making it back to the Super Bowl again in his career unless things change drastically in Cincinnati, and I just don't see it happening. I'm not a hater, but I don't see it happening.